Hey, welcome back to the channel. I thought I'd do a review on these beautiful looking shoes, which are the Adidas Terrex Agravic Speed Ultras, which basically I'm planning on using these as my race day shoes for the next up and coming Ultra, which is the South Downs Way 100 miler, and that's in a week's time. So I did my first run in these yesterday, and it was basically it was a 10-mile run. It was on hard packed, pretty untechnical trails. There wasn't much elevation, it's quite flat. But the reason I chose that route is basically because I wanted to do a test to see how it sort of compares with wearing a super shoe at sort of easy ultra sort of pace, and compare that with your sort of heart rate, so your sort of relative perceived effort. To see whether you can get that gain and lock into the paces at pretty low intensity, which is what you'd sort of be doing with an ultra anyway. So yeah, these shoes they come in at about £200, and basically they do size up pretty large. So I had to size down by half a size. So I'm usually a size UK 9. These are a size 8.5. And they fit great now, finally, because I had to send the original pair back. So yeah, first a few specs just to give you a rough idea of what we've got here. So it's full Light Strike Pro midsole. It's sort of a mesh, very thin upper, which has got great drainage with sort of structural welded overlays. It's got quite long laces with that sort of ridge sort of locking to it, which is pretty good. It's quite a minimal tongue. It's got a fixed footbed, and so nothing moves around and it saves a bit of weight. It's full Light Strike Pro midsole with you've got the energy rods in there, and these are TPU ones, which are sort of plastic, because I think they did try it with carbon fibre, but they kept on breaking on trails. So, and then on the outsole, we've got the Continental rubber outsole, which has got very sort of small, minimal lugs. These are only 2.5mm in the sort of midsection, and then around the outside, you've got 3.5mm. So they're pretty low sort of depth lugs, which it's for sort of dry, hard packed trails ideally, and it also works great on roads. So yeah, so basically, yeah, the laces, they're pretty good laces, but they do come up quite long. I mean, they were just like, do you really need that length? So you have to simply tuck them away. Make sure when you put them on, you get a really good lockdown, because you can get a bit of heel slippage at the back there. So you might need the sort of lace lock. But yeah, so when you're locking it in, make sure it's locked in properly before you start your run. They're quite a wide toe box, which is really nice actually, especially for ultras where your feet might swell up. And you can see the actual shape of the sole. It's got a very wide sort of midfoot section, very narrow here, and so it really does promote a big sort of landing on your midfoot to forefoot, ready for that toe off, which is absolutely great. But we'll go on about the ride a bit later on, which is the main thing about this shoe, which I love really. So yeah, it's stack height, 8mm drop. You've got 38 in the heel, 30 in the mid to forefoot. So it's quite an aggressive rocker. As you can also see here, it's so curved at the front and the back. And so it literally rolls you onto that forefoot and gives you a good snap sort of propulsion off that for each stride. So it's promotes a good healthy sort of gait cycle. So yeah, what else? We've got 38, 30, we've got the Light Strike Pro throughout with this sort of sandwich with the energy rods in between, the TPU energy rods. So I'd say it's a sort of big stack, and so with trail shoes, for the higher stack sort of super shoes, they always had the trouble of stability with like uneven ground, but due to the sort of width there, the platform landing there, and you can see this is very wide here. It's actually, I think they've sorted the stability issue really, really well and taken the rods to the outside quite wide. So that it's quite a stable shoe considering how high stack it is. What else have we got here? We've got, yeah, it's pretty wide. It's got a very strong rocker to it, which you'll notice as soon as you stand in them, you're almost leaning back or you're leaning forward. So it does promote a really good sort of rocking sensation. So it finally does feel like a super shoe for the trails. Let me see, yeah, outsole, mainly for dry use. I would avoid sort of wet mud because you will slip a bit with those sort of lug depth. So they're not a sort of a soft ground shoe. Ideally, it's sort of hard packed trails, and even on roads, it's a great shoe for roads. It feels like you've got a super shoe on your foot, and for roads, very similar to the Adidas Pro 3, which is effectively Light Strike Pro and the rods for roads, the super shoe. This one comes in at 262 grams, so it's similar to the Tecton-X in terms of weight, and this is a UK 8.5, so 262 is acceptable for sort of racing. Yeah, what else? In terms of comparisons, I would say the nearest thing to this for super shoe for trails is the Tecton-X. I mean, the third one's going to come out this year, but the Tecton-X 1 and 2, which are similar sort of weight. So it finally feels like, one, you've got Light Strike Pro on your feet, and you finally feels like you've got a super shoe on your foot. So what I noticed from the first test run is that I went out easy pace, as if I was doing like an ultra or something, and I looked at my watch and the pace was probably about 30 to 45 seconds per mile quicker than I was expecting from the amount of effort that I was putting in. And it was very easy to lock into that pace. I think I was doing like 7:40 pace or something, or 7:30 something. But my heart rate was like 120, and that usually at that heart rate on the flat, on that sort of hard packed trails, I'd be hitting at like 8-minute mile or 8:20 or whatever. But it was in the 7s, so that it was really nice to put on a shoe that actually helps you keep that pace and also hit those paces without having to put all that effort in. So I really enjoyed it, and it's given me a bit of confidence ready for next week for the 100 miler. So I'll probably start with these, and then in my drop bag I might have the Tecton-X second pair, just to see how I get on. I was wearing Injinji thin socks, which were new ones, which also saved a few grams of weight compared to the thicker ones, and they felt great. They felt really comfortable. I mean, it's hard to tell with only a 10-mile run, admittedly, but it's given me confidence for the next weekend coming, and I look forward to wearing them. And hopefully, with this sort of minor injury that I've had, it's getting stronger, but I need all the help I can get, so these should help. So this is the Adidas Terrex Agravic Speed Ultras, and first run review, definite thumbs up. Thanks for watching, bye.